God, it's hot out here. Hotter than a mother. My God, my car is so fucking dirty. I don't know if I was ready for this. Back in 2012, I broke my leg skateboarding, longboarding actually, on a bridge in a rain gutter that they have on those bridges and stuff like that. And I just remember falling and going to pick my shoe up because I thought my shoe had fell off, and it turns out like my foot was still in the shoe, and I was like, okay, that's not anatomically correct. Something's wrong here. And I just remember that everybody probably saw me. They couldn't see what happened to my feet to me falling. That's probably all they saw. They couldn't tell that I was like actually in some serious pain. I called, got a ride, and I was taken to the ER. And in the ER, they made me wait. And I'm sitting there with a broken leg, just dangling, and you know. It was so swollen though, you couldn't tell that I had an ankle. It looked like, you know, like the Flintstones. You know how there's no ankles, it just goes straight down. It's just leg and then foot, no ankles. That's how swollen it was. And then they signed me up to go get x-rayed, and they took a look at the x-ray, and I remember them taking a look at it and then coming back in and goes, oh, it looks like maybe you just, you know, have a sprained ankle. And then the second time that they came in, they said, oh, it looks like you have a fracture for sure, like a little tiny fracture. You know, they kind of like downplayed it, but it's like, dude, I was looking at my foot was sticking straight up. So it was like the third time that they came in, they're like, yeah, no, you broke that clean off, and your skin's the only thing that's holding it all together. And they put this fear in my head that they said, you're not going to be able to walk again if you don't have like a metal plate surgery or something put in. And they said that like right in front of my family and my girlfriend at the time. They put that fear in everybody's heart that if I don't get surgery, I'm going to be a cripple for the rest of my life. In the back of my head, I was just like, no, I don't want to do this. There's no, you know what I mean? I've heard too many stories about people that have plates in their bones that freeze from the inside out, and it's extremely painful. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that, you know? So I was walking around with a splint, or I was like laying around with a splint, really, crawling. Like, why can't I just put it back into place and then let Nedry take its course, you know? So I started like looking that stuff up, and it turns out that shattered bones reconnect on their own, and your body absorbs whatever shattered fragments of bone is still stuck in there. I didn't want to do it. So when it came time for me to go to the orthopedist who was supposed to put me back together and everything like that, that was the first thing that came out of his mouth too, is he was telling me that I need to have surgery or I'm not going to be able to walk anymore, right? But the moment that I told him, I was like, you know, if we just like kind of shove it back into place at an angle and just cast it, wouldn't it just handle itself? Some must have clicked because they never mentioned surgery again. Or I got it casted up back, and I didn't do it myself. I was in some soldier on the battlefield, like, right onto it. They put me back together, and I walked around for like 6 months in a cast. It healed, like everything. Obviously, I never had to have surgery, and I'm still walking and stuff like that. But that didn't stop them from putting that fear in my head and my family's head and my girlfriend's head, that, you know, hey, if he's just being stubborn, if he refuses, he's not going to be able to walk anymore. He's going to be a cripple for life. Taking the cast off, and that was actually the more painful part. So by the time that I took the cast off, my bones had fused to where like flexibility wasn't really that easy, you know. And basically when they took the cast off, not only did my leg lose like most of its muscle mass, it looked bad. It was kind of crazy looking. I was like, dude, can I even stand on this thing? Is it going to buckle in half? I just remember thinking that, holy, I have like a little toothpick for a leg. And the other leg, by the way, was jacked because I had been putting all my weight on that one. So like the most painful part of like this entire situation was when they took the cast off and started to flex my ankle again, you know, because it was moving for the first time in 6 months. So it was a trip, dude. It hurt. Worse than the actual break itself. I just wanted to share that with you. Most of these medical professions, it's still, I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade at them or anything like that, because they got to do what they got to do. But it is a business, and they piggyback off of each other. Doctors probably piggybacked it off of the orthopedist. The orthopedist was probably trying to piggyback off of a surgeon, and I just stopped it midway. They'll tell you all the time about how fragile your body is, but they never tell you how resilient you are. And it makes me think, how many people had to have unnecessary surgeries for things that weren't even going to be a hindrance in the first place? I mean, it still aches every once in a while. But so does my other ankle. I don't know if there's anything like connected to the break. You know, I tell you these stories because I'm trying to put a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not trying to tell you to ignore your doctors, but I want you to be more active in your own healthcare because it's a business. Anyways, that's all. I think I'm gonna call this like medical mishaps, but thank you for watching and you have a good one.